Hello, this is Brad Wild, and I'm in Innsbruck. I have a friend visiting Germany and Austria, so I was curious about what it might look like. I normally don't fly in Europe, so I downloaded the HD version 4 mesh for southern Germany and Austria, including the Alps. So here we are in Innsbruck. And not only that, but I'm flying general aviation today. My last flight was the Airbus A320. And not only is it civil aviation, but it's in a new airplane I just downloaded. It's the Carenado Cessna 210 version for X-Plane 11. So it's got all the PBR, physical base rendering, I think it's called. So you get all those really cool reflections. And of course you get the typical Carenado rendering and modeling. It's beautifully done. Of course you get all the little fun options here. So we'll open up the pilot door. Notice the reflection there on the glass. Of course, you can turn it on and off. It doesn't seem to do much. Let's see, let in a passenger. And there's a baggage door there on the side. By the way, SkyMax clouds. Nice little touch Cessna on the end. So great looking airplane. So I thought I'd take it for a spin. So it's an airport just east of Innsbruck, LOWZ. By the way, I don't speak German. I don't pronounce German. My wife is fluent and would probably not appreciate my pronunciation. This is as close as I can zoom. Here's Innsbruck, and we'll take off, get a little altitude, and then head down towards this valley. So back to our airplane. Let's get things buttoned up here. Static elements, passenger door, baggage door, and we've got two pilots now. First thing you have to do in this airplane, I have noticed, is turn on the fuel. By default, it is off. So we'll start with our right tank. And then batteries and fuel pump and mixture rich, prop high, and open the window. And we can yell clear prop. Make sure nobody's around. Make sure our nav and beacons are on. And now we can go ahead and start. Fuel pump off. And the radios, that's a switch down here. Just take a look at our Garmin. By the way, it uses the new X-Plane 530 and it pops out nicely, and you can see that I have gone ahead and put in that airport. Lima Oscar Whiskey Zulu. And we've got our map when we need it. The winds are out of the southeast. This is east-west runway, 08, 026, or 26, so we're going to be taking off on 08. We're going to need about 10,000 feet to get over the mountains that lie between Innsbruck and our destination. Guess I can't arm that yet. And we can turn on our transponder and just leave it at 25. We're just going VFR today. I'm not sure if it's different in Europe. Nice engine sounds. Typical of what you would hear. I was raised on 152, 172, and 182, but I always wished I could fly a 210. It high performance, but yet not too exotic. So ground control has given us clearance to taxi to runway 08. Release the brakes. We'll turn on our taxi light. And I'll go ahead and put in a notch of flaps. Passenger view. And why don't you join me after I do all this taxiing? Now you'll notice I've turned the airplane towards the wind because we're going to do our run-up. I know it looks a little strange, but there couldn't find a turnout here. So maybe a bit unorthodox, to be sure. We'll get rid of it for right now, but we'll bring it back. So we want to run our engine up to 1700 RPM. Okay, and then we're going to just check our magneto to see if there's a significant drop, and there is not. Back to both. Then left. Anything more than 100 RPM would be reason for alarm. So run up complete. Landing light and strobe, and we have been cleared for takeoff. I have my visibility turned to about 10 miles. It helps with the frame rates, and also it's a little bit more realistic, especially late in the evening or late in the afternoon. I'm not going to go all the way to the end of the runway. I don't need that much runway, and ATC is fine with me starting a little bit down the runway. And let's see what the P factor is in this airplane. See if I can keep it in the center of the runway. Not too bad. And rotate. Gear up. flaps too soon. And because this is a constant speed prop, I need to back down on the RPMs to about 2,500. It's hard to see. Get things straightened out here. Out over the nose, Innsbruck. So we're doing about 110 knots in almost 2,000 feet a minute, so a great performing airplane. Now I need a little bit of altitude before I start following my flight plan. Look at the detail in that dashboard. Now this does not have de-icing boots. Some 210s come with it. Also, the 210 is a pressurized airplane. Turn my volume down a little bit. Not this 210, but you can buy a pressurized version of the 210. Looks a little bit odd. Some strange graphic phenomenon there on the horizon. Not sure what that is. So here's our map. And eventually we're going to want to turn a little bit to the southeast. Not just yet. Airport way in the background. And we want to arm our altitude. Let's see. Autopilot. Arm. There we go. And just to be sure, I'm going to activate this. And now when I click nav, whoops, one more thing. I need to make this GPS. There we go. Now nav. And we'll begin following our flight plan, which is this red bar here. I wish the map painted our proposed flight path. So we are at 10,000 feet. Nose is coming down. we can back our RPM down to about 2400. And we can lean out our mixture and watch our temperature here. It'll go up. And then we can push it in just a little bit. So the airplane is leaned out, RPM down to cruise. And we're at 10,000 feet. Quick look out the window. Really hazy. The valley that we're looking for is over here. So eventually we'll turn that direction and begin our descent. Take a look at our map again. Here's our airport, so we'll want to kind of do our descent in this valley. So why don't you join me in a few minutes as we make that maneuver. So here's our current location. Here's the valley we want to do our descent into. So I need to start planning that. Looking out over the nose. Need to drop down into this valley. So I'm going to switch over to a heading. And plan a descent. By the way, I wanted to show you one thing. I've got my... I thinned out the mixture, and I wanted to show you that using the throttle, you set your manifold pressure to 30 at 10,000 feet. So that's what I've done here. So leaned out the mixture, throttle is set, prop is set. Wanted you to see that. And let's head up the valley and put in our pattern altitude of 3,400 feet. And begin our descent. And we come back on the throttle. And we'll start with 1,000 feet a minute. I would love to know what that is. Some weird graphic phenomenon. And let's turn on some lights on the instruments here. Let's see, how do I do that? There we go. Wonderful little towns down in the valley. Speaking of the valley, let's get back over the valley. I suppose I could just be doing this pilotage. And our speed's a little fast. So 13 miles out. Now this is a difficult airport to find a difficult runway to line up with. It's a very short runway, very narrow runway. It's like landing on an aircraft carrier. Beautiful lighting. Love those reflections. So I'm looking for the rotating beacon out there. I think I see it. I want to make sure I have a wide berth to the right, because the runway is a little bit oblique to my path. I better arm this, otherwise we'll just pass right through it. Passenger view. Look at that lighting. Very cool. How are we doing on fuel? Okay, I think we'll make it. Another 2,000 feet to go, 6 miles out. And let's make sure we've slowed down. It looks like there's a runway headed this direction. I see some red. I don't think those are going to be PAPI lights. Five miles out. Now, if we were in the Bonanza with this low RPM, we would be getting a warning. All right, gear down. And autopilot off. Slow down our descent here. Want everything forward here. First notch of flaps. Ooh, really blooms, doesn't it? And trim the nose down. Another notch of flaps. Watch the speed. I don't want to come in hot on such a short runway. So I've got full flaps. gear down. And we're going to have to fly through a tree, it looks like. Trimming the nose down. Gonna really want to drag this in, kind of like we're doing a soft field landing. Whoops. Ooh, that's interesting. I haven't touched the brakes yet. So maybe somebody could explain that to me. I came in nice and slow. Got a little squirrely. I actually thought I'd have bigger problems on takeoff with the P factor, but apparently not. And let's clean up the airplane, get our flaps up. Well, it's nice to see some scenery in the middle of the Alps. Looks like a flight school. All those airplanes lined up neatly. And we've got our FBO over here, some offices, and we can shut it down right here. Alright, apologies for that landing. I'm not sure what else I could have done coming in that slow. Alright, airplane is cleaned up. Let's power things off. I'll leave the beacon on until the engine's shut off. And turn off our radios, and finally the engine. Battery off. Let's let our pilots out here. Whoops. So that's the maiden voyage in the new Carenado 210 for X-Plane 11, and my first flight in the Alps. A lot of firsts today. So hope you enjoyed that. If there's anything else you would like to see, just let me know. Thank you.